Jordan Maxwell, welcome back to the show, my friend. How are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me on, Ryan. Just doing pretty good.
Excellent.
Considering everything.
Yes, considering everything. That's about as good as we can do, just all right.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, I know that there are some things that you probably wanted to talk about. You and I and Jack could have a conversation that lasted for the rest of the year, probably.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What exactly would you like to talk about? I know you have some new videos and maybe some new content. I'm not exactly sure, but if you'd like to take the lead here, it's all you.
Well, yeah, there was a couple of things I would like to get in sometime in the program, and might as well do it now. I just wanted to make everyone aware that my website is Jordan Maxwell Show. There are other websites out there with my name, but they don't belong to me. So other people are using my name and using my reputation. So, but if you want to talk to me, mine is jordanmaxwellshow.com. And on my jordanmaxwellshow.com, I have a new website, which is not actually new. It's been on there now for about 3 or 4 months, but it's called the Research Society website. And you can join the research website on my website. It's called Jordan Maxwell's Research Society. And as I said, you can join it. And what I am doing on that separate website is I am uploading, or at least my webmaster is uploading for me, all of my research over the years. Documents and white papers, research papers, ebooks, links to important people, links to important work that's being done by important people, audio, video recordings, all kinds of research into all sorts of subjects, and they're all there on my Research Society website, because I really don't have room on my Jordan Maxwell Show website, so I had to come up with a whole different website. So if you want to join it, it's there, and all it is just a second website with all of my research material daily being put up, because there's so much I have. I have quite literally over 1,000 gigs of just new research material that's slowly but surely being put up on my research website. So I'm telling everyone about this because I want everyone to see some of the really dark history of things, where things have come from, what the words mean, what the symbols mean. And when you hear these terms and used in government and churches and religion and banking and all kinds of interesting things that are going on in the world, what these words and terms and symbols really mean, not what you thought they meant. And so that's why I decided to have a second website called the Research Society, which you can join. It's not open to the public. It's only on a contribution, a one-time contribution for a lifetime subscription, one time.
I have both of those websites for the show and for the research linked up on our website at thesecretteachings.info under our guest page and under the promo page each time Jordan Maxwell is on the show with us. Jordan, before...
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, I express my thanks for you coming on the show so often. I was having a conversation with my friend and co-host Jack, who's on the line with us. We were talking about self-deprecation and dehumanization, this attitude that a lot of us tend to have where we don't really care what we do to our bodies. We don't really care how we treat ourselves, even how we treat other people, because we believe it doesn't really matter. We are going to die anyway. Who really cares? And I think a lot of that has been engineered. We talked about the Club of Rome and some non-governmental organizations, some think tanks that have literally put together documents where they suggest that this is the goal, to strip responsibility, reliance, respect, etc., from the general population to make it easier to control people. I know that seems so outlandish to some, but it's in black and white, and we see the effects of it every day in our life.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I totally, 100%, totally agree. You're exactly right. All of this incredible, tragic life that the world of mankind is experiencing has been well thought out, well planned, and conceived in real darkness. There are people who want to control people, and we know that there are megalomaniacs out there, even in your own town, even in your own little area of your neighborhood. There are people who are control freaks. And my God, you find that in work everywhere you go, any business you're in. There are going to be control freaks who want to be in control of everything because they know everything there is to know about everything in the whole world. And so that's one of the real tragedies about the human intellect and how humans think. And so the good people who just want to live their life and help each other and grow, and the good people don't think like that. They're not megalomaniacs and psychotic criminals. But unfortunately, the positions of power, like the British statesman said, it says power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so the people who want absolute power almost always are the people who are psychotic criminals who want to dominate, to rip off, and to steal everything you have, and to control you, so that they can take everything you own, and so they set up what we call banks, and this way they can give you cards and stamp your card, and now if you don't go along with what the power-hungry monsters want, they will, delete your card, and then you can't work anymore. They can destroy you. So the whole world today, as you said, and I'm capsuling it, the whole world today is fighting for its being under arrest. The whole human family is under arrest today around the world. Powerful people that have been in operation for hundreds of years. The decision was made a long time ago to harness the earth and to harness the power and the energy of the human race and use it to build your own nest and to build your own empire.
Use it as a resource for business.
That's it, resource for business. And there was an article in the LA Times many years ago. I had it and I've lost it, but there was a little separate article, separate little paper slipped into the Sunday paper, and it was on the CIA. And it said, the caption of the head of the CIA at that time, he said the CIA was developed to make a level playing field for world business, for United States and European business, to level the field throughout the world for U.S. business. So the bottom line is the CIA is there to disrupt, harm, and cause havoc and chaos to the world of business, so that the power-hungry, greedy masters of the world that operate behind the world government of the United States and Europe and especially England can operate and make more money and destroy any of their competition.
And there's even a name for this.
So that's what's going on in the world today.
Economic hitmen like John Perkins.
You got it. That's the bottom line. That's what we're talking about. And so I know that, and I've been looking at it for years. And many people have said to me that I am very pessimistic and I should be more positive. And my only answer to that is that I may sound pessimistic because I know the way the world really works.
And
And so if you're ignorant and ill-informed, then you're not really very savvy about the way the world of mankind, where it's come from, how it got here, and go back through the history of the human race and see how the human family has developed over the past 7 to 10,000 years, and see where we are today in relation to that history. Once you do, you then begin to see the trouble that the whole entire world is in. And so...
well, in that way, Jordan, most of us are very much like that. Myself, most of our listeners, we're seen perhaps as pessimistic or negative. But I've always said that negativity in the conventional sense of what we think is negative is not really negativity, and positivity is not really positivity, because I think true positivity is not looking at a situation, no matter how dark it is, and ignoring it. That's not positivity. Positivity is looking at it, acknowledging it, and having the wherewithal to stand up and to fight against the corruption, the darkness, the evil, whatever it might be. That's true positivity. I mean, if you're laying in bed at night and your roommate, girlfriend, boyfriend, somebody, maybe your dog starts barking, and maybe your girlfriend rolls over and says, hey, I think I heard a window break downstairs. You don't look at her and say, oh, you're negative, go back to sleep. That's negativity. Positivity would be maybe saying, hey, let's go check it out to make sure we don't get shot, stabbed, or robbed in the middle of the night.
Of course. Yeah, and you're right. And that's why I always say, I appreciate and understand why there are people in the world that always see the bright side of everything and everything will be all right. I understand that. It's basically the people who, think that way. I always say are like people walking through the graveyard, whistling to themselves at night. So you know that nobody's going to get you, and the devil's not going to get you, but you're in the graveyard late at night. And so to make yourself feel better, just tell yourself everything is going to be just fine, and then everything will be just fine. Why? Because you talked yourself into it, and you. So that's what I see the world doing. All of these preachers and clergy, they're all whistling as they're going through the graveyard at night, trying to assure themselves that everything's going to be just fine. Unless, of course, you happen to be involved in world government, and then you don't think, everything is not just fine. There's hundreds of thousands of people die every year, incredible bloodshed on the earth by raping and plundering and wars and being butchered and by your fellow man. And so everything is not just fine. Everything's just fine for you if you've got a full belly and you've got your beer and television and you've got food to eat and nobody's bothering you. Well, then the hell with the rest of the world. Everything's just fine. Well, in point of fact, no. And nothing is just fine. The world is not just fine. And we're not going to be happily ever after. We need to wake up and discover that we have been had. And the people who run this planet look at all of us as goyim, as people of the nations. We're just cattle to them. As a matter of fact, they actually have those terms in law, in International Maritime Admiralty Law, which is the law of international banking. There is a term called chattel. It's C-H-A-T-T, like cattle, but it's C-H-A-T-T. So chattel means human cattle. We humans are called chattel. And therefore, you look it up in the dictionary, chattel property. Chattel property are humans that are owned. And you will find that under international maritime law, the law of world banking, humans are nothing more than cattle. And so, it's just extraordinary when you wake up and find out who is running this planet and their view of us as humans and how they view us, and then how they treat us like cattle. They just, they our education system is, in my mind, the educational system in America especially, is like slopping hogs. If you've ever seen on a farm where they just pour out all kinds of slop in the trough, and the hogs run over and just jump on it and fall into it and eat it all up. It's just a bunch of trash and garbage we call slop. And they actually have that term, slopping their hogs.
You know, one thing that came to my mind, Jordan, you mentioned banking. I just wanted to give a really good example of this. And I picked this out because I feel like I'm pretty intuitive and aware. I got a newspaper about, this was on April 6th. It's from the Wall Street Journal. And they have a one-page apology letter from Wells Fargo relating to the scam that Wells Fargo was running, creating fake bank accounts, stealing money from customers, credit card, debit card, all these different scams they were running. And part of the apology, this is actually what was in the Wall Street Journal, said, quote, "We've made changes to ensure we always put our customers' needs first." And people might think, oh, well, that's good. They're going to put our needs first now. Do you not think about what they were doing before they made that comment? They were never putting your needs first. And then 2 pages later, after the apology in the same newspaper, Jordan, was another massive scandal that says Wells Fargo hit with another massive scandal. It's just lie after lie after lie after lie, and we still support them.
Yeah.
And Jordan,
that's the funny thing, is we still support them.
Jordan, how much of this do you attribute to dark occultism or Luciferianism agenda, the condition of the world right now?
Well, I think the whole world is in the. I think that scripture basically is true, where in the New Testament, someone said the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. I think the basic concept there is correct. I think the entire world of mankind in all countries of the world, the entire human family, is being overshadowed, is a term I use. Overshadowed or dominated behind the world scene by a very dark and evil presence in the universe. And so the idea, the concept of demons and devils and spirit entities, poltergeists and ghosts and that kind of thing, all of that philosophy of ancient and evil presence in the spirit world dominating and dominating our destiny and harming us, I believe is based on fact. I totally believe that that's exactly what's happening. And that's why that idea is prevailing in so many of the religions of the world. Almost all religions in the world will at least address the idea that there is a world of spiritual entities here. Christianity calls them demons and devils and angels, and the secular world calls them ghosts and apparitions and poltergeists and demons. I think that there is something to that we are living today on the earth with other life forms. There's so many life forms in the ocean we don't even know about. There's so many life forms in the Amazon in South America that we don't even know about. There's so many life forms out there in the universe that we don't know about. Then it comes to finally, there's so much we don't know about. And there are so many life forms here on the earth, in the animal kingdom and in the occult world. So I'm sure that there's something going on in the spirit world where the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one, because we can see it everywhere. The bloodshed, the violence, and the whole human race is reacting to something. Everywhere on the earth you have drug problems, people on drugs. Why are the humans turning to drugs and also violence and the whole idea of alcoholism
Yes.
and drug addiction? What is that telling you about the human condition on the earth?
That feeling that we always have to be inebriated, or that self-deprecation of, oh, it's Friday, it's the weekend, I can drink. Oh, it's Saturday, I don't have to go back to work yet. Oh, it's Monday, I hate Monday, let's get drunk. It's Wednesday, it's almost Friday again, let's get drunk. Anything to just take you out of reality and put you in this, immerse you in another world. And now we're actually seeing that literally promoted with virtual reality. Immerse yourself.
That's exactly right. That's precisely right. And then that opens up a whole can of worms to look into with artificial intelligence and entertainment and games, computer games. All of this is designed by some dark force in the world that drives humans, and it's driving us crazy. We've got to have more war games and more computer games for kids to spend their whole life playing with a computer. And for the adults, give them alcohol and drugs and pornography and give them anything at all, keep the people occupied. And why? So that the masters of this world can operate with impunity and do whatever they want, because they are the government. And of course, nobody wants to mess with the government.
Government means mind control.
Yeah, that's all it is mind control.
It's divide and conquer, and also I look at it at a very base level, and it's really narcissism. If you look at the world, pretty much across the board, people are only care about themselves.
Well,
and that's
of course.
always going to come first, and that's the first tenet in Satanism.
Well, I know that, and that's why, and the general public, who are not mentally deranged criminals, but just ordinary people living an ordinary life, and they can't handle what these maniacs and murderers and demonic depravity that are controlling our banks and controlling our schools and our military and the whole world of mankind. They're just normal, everyday, regular people know in their gut there's something bad wrong. And they also know, and they're correct, when they understand there's nothing they can do about it. Because you're not going to change the nature of mankind. You're not going to change the nature of fallen mankind. And so humans, like you said, are looking out only for themselves. They don't even care about their children. They don't even care about their neighbors. They don't even care about their neighborhood.
That's becoming more and more true. I can recognize that in public. Just parents that truly just don't care about their children. Just the attitudes. It's really incredible that they have had so much of their will to survive and even to care for their offspring removed from them. I mean, you can really see the results of I don't even want to say an agenda, but of a dark force, as we've been talking about at work here.
And adult children not caring for their parents as they grow older.
Same thing, same problem.
Yep.
Back and forth, one way or the other.
You know, I think another huge element of this, Jordan, Jack and I were talking about this in the previous segment, is a lot of people feel, and I gave an example, a friend of mine basically said, look, I see the evidence that you're presenting to me about a particular subject, but it's really hard for me to believe that anybody would be that evil or would do that. And that's the problem, is that a lot of us don't think that anybody would do it because we wouldn't do it.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. And that is so absolutely correct, because you don't think about raping and plundering and lying and stealing and actually murdering. It doesn't even come into your world of thinking. So obviously that's so foreign, that's so far out. But actually, no, there are people right around you that are criminals. You just don't know it. They are involved in all kinds of high criminality and bloodshed, and they just keep popping up And we read every day in the paper some new guy is found who have killed 10 people or murdered and been killing people for the past 10 years, and he's finally found out. Guys running around looking like Santa Claus or a clown actually was raping and killing 24 young men. And my God, the world is filled with this kind of stuff every day. But the rest of humanity, it appears to me that humanity is like the cattle, as I said, chattel. You drive by these large farms and you see 100,000 cattle out, and they're all grazing with their young. They don't care about what's going on around them. They don't know that they're going to be hamburger very soon. They don't understand where they are, or what planet they're on. They just out doing what they normally do, hanging around out in the sun, chewing their cud and having offspring, and their babies are going to grow up to be like them, just a bunch of cows that are going to have their heads cut off and go to the meat market. So eventually, that's the way the human race has finally ended up, where we don't really care. We just go along to get along. Whatever the government says must be right. And even if it isn't right, who the hell cares, as long as we got our beer and television and games. The kids are all happy. They can sit there and play games on the computer all day. And I don't know. I don't know where the human race is going to go. But like the Bible has Jesus saying, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do."
I said that at the end of the last 2 or 3 shows in relationship to artificial intelligence. Yep. These MIT professors were saying that they have created an advanced form of AI, self-driving cars and the like, and they are now admitting, just within a few months of Google saying it's not a big deal that AI is learning to encrypt itself and having conversations we can't monitor. Just in a few months, they've now changed their tune and said, look, we know we've created something very, very intelligent and dangerous. We don't know how it operates, but instead of stopping or having the moral attitude or some form of responsibility and saying we should probably limit our attention to this and put some type of kill switch or restriction on what we do, they just say, well, let's continue with it. What's the worst that could happen? Even after acknowledging they don't know what they've developed.
I know. And then, Hollywood has been telling you this stuff for years, because Hollywood is as corrupt as they are, as evil and corrupt. And there's just no words to explain how corrupt Hollywood really is. It defies the ability to explain it in English in front of other people. You can't use the words that I'm thinking of. But Hollywood is so corrupt. It is so profoundly evil. But yet, because they're so far gone, Hollywood knows where the world is going. I mean, they're leading the way. And so they're having fun, just like adults would have with a child. They're having fun because they know the child can't fight back. It doesn't know what's going on. And the adults are totally in control. And so they go out of control. They get out of control. They beat their children. They rape them. They do all kinds of things to children because the child has nowhere to go and no one to turn to. And so the same thing with Hollywood. They're raping us and destroying our culture. And they're telling us all kinds of, all kinds of incredible, diabolical stuff in movies and television, especially
predictive programming,
TV shows. I mean, I know I've lived in Hollywood for some 56 years, and I've been involved in the motion picture and television and entertainment industry. I'm just telling you, it is absolutely sick.
To what extent is the pedophile ring in Hollywood? Are you familiar with that, or have you had any?
Well, Hollywood is a pedophile ring, period. But there are even more, as far as I'm concerned. That's just one facet of a terrible, deadly illness in the human race. We call it Hollywood. But that's one thing. That's the entertainment part. But there's other things which I consider to be equally, if not worse, and that is the propaganda, which is so clever and so well presented in such a way that you should never even suspect what it really is doing, what this propaganda is doing. But like the scripture in the Bible where Jesus said, when there's a scripture in the Bible that says some people came to Jesus one day and they had a bag of seeds, and they asked him, what kind of seeds are these? And he said, well, why don't you plant the seeds and water them and watch what comes up? So by their fruits, you will know them. So, if you plant the seeds, don't ask me what they are, plant them. If an apple tree comes up, well, then that's the answer. They were apple seeds. But if a pear tree comes up, well, then I guess it were pear seeds. So by their fruits, you will know them. Well, what is the fruitage of Hollywood on the world scene today? They're telling you all kinds of vicious, pornographic, filthy, and demonic stuff. And therefore, the human race is feeding on that stuff that Hollywood's putting out. And like anybody who is eating junk foods continually and doesn't take care of themselves and what they're consuming and eating, they become very frail and sick and dying. Why? Because they're dying. They have no real food. They're just on junk and trash. And so that's what's happening to the human family. Civilization is now dying. And people are dying because they have no knowledge, they have no wisdom, no understanding, and all they're doing is sucking in the slop that is being poured into the trough in Hollywood for humans to listen to and entertain themselves with.
That's right. We're going to take a short break here just for a moment, Jordan, and then we'll come back. I have to switch out some recording batteries as well before we go any further. Jordan Maxwell, our guest this evening. We'll continue this conversation when we come back from break. We also have Jack with us, co-host and a good friend of mine. As we continue this conversation into the final segment here, we will go into an after show with Jordan Maxwell. All listeners of The Secret Teachings, if you subscribe at www.thesecretteachings.info, you get access to that archive of past shows, great guests and timeless subjects, which will also have each and every after show, which plays after the live broadcast ends. Jordan Maxwell, our guest, jordanmaxwellshow.com. You can find links to his research society also on our website and our guest page. We will be right back. The Secret Teachings radio show is oriented towards bringing back virtue, logic, common sense, and reason to our understanding of subjects from symbolism and the paranormal to health and philosophy for self-improvement. There is no sensationalism on this broadcast, and we have been removed from 2 radio networks, including Art Bell's Dark Matter, for refusing to censor our content. If you obtain something of substance from this show, we ask you to support us in one of the following ways by visiting our website, www.thesecretteachings.info. You may purchase one of my many books, which are available around the world. Reviews of those books are found for reading on the website. You may donate directly to support what we do, or you may subscribe monthly or yearly to our show archive. Each subscription allows you to stream and download every episode of the show, and all subscribers get access to an exclusive after show, which airs after the live broadcast ends. So no matter if you can or cannot listen live, subscribers have access to every interview and every analysis, with timeless subjects and great guests. If you have questions, comments, or cannot afford a subscription, feel free to email me directly at rdgable@yahoo.com. I grow every week alongside of each one of you. Please visit our website and support what we do at www.thesecretteachings.info. Namaste.
Modern religions, from Christianity to Scientology, from Islam to Mormonism, are distorted versions of ancient mystery schools, originally formed to teach the profane the mysteries of the universe, in a way where the information is easy to understand to all, but the true meaning of which is concealed to all but the true students of Gnosis. This is a theme that we follow on the Secret Teachings radio program. For more information, you can visit thesecretteachings.info. That's thesecretteachings.info.
I have to say, I really enjoy listening to you talking. Normally, I look quite deep into people. You brought a lot of holiness from your last life. I'm amazed about your age, that you're so young, because normally with the kind of speed of learning and growing I know from my life, we are not far apart from each other. So what I had to recover during those years, you just came here with it. So some children come to life with fully developed abilities, and all they need is to adopt to their body to being able to express the fully developed abilities. And there is something of this in you. This is Howard Kautz. My website is www.timeloopsolution.com, and you're listening to the Secret Teachings radio program with Ryan Gable.
You are listening to The Secret Teachings. I'm your host, Ryan Gable. I'm joined this evening by my co-host, Jack. Jack has been talking with us since the top of the second hour, or the bottom of the second hour. In this final hour, we've been joined by Jordan Maxwell. You can find his information linked up on our website at www.thesecretteachings.info. He's research website and also jordanmaxwellshow.com. And Jordan, here in this last 10 minutes or so before we take a break and go into the after show, which is exclusive only to subscribers of The Secret Teachings, I'd like to, first of all, see if Jack has any question or comment for you, and then I'd like to give you the floor for the last few minutes. So, Jack, anything for Jordan before we let him take the reins?
Jordan, I'd just like to know, you've been doing this for about, I believe, 55 years. Can you give the listeners an idea of what it was like 55 years ago, knowing what you knew at the time? It had to have been very frustrating that there probably weren't many others that knew the same information. And what have you seen over the last 50 years? Are you encouraged by this information being disseminated on a broader scale?
Well, yeah, that is an important question to me, because I started doing this kind of research and became involved in what I'm doing today. I started doing it back in 1959, which is, I don't know, about 56 years ago. And I started this adventure in Hollywood, and when I moved to Los Angeles from Florida. And I became involved. All those years I have become involved in Hollywood. I've become involved with the occult world. My involvement with the occult world, occult simply means hidden. And I've always been interested in what is hidden from us. And so my poking around and trying to find the real truth behind everything, it started, as I said, some 56 years ago. And the more I poked around in Hollywood, the more I began to see that it was a very desperately evil place. But I was also at the same time being blessed by the Spirit somehow or another to meet impressive people, all kinds of interesting and important people in the world. And so I began to an education, and I've talked about this before, that I've had opportunities to be in the company of some important people, many important people in this world, and have learned from them. And I just wanted to give back to the world of mankind what I have been given and share it with everyone else. The world has completely changed since I arrived in Los Angeles, the world I live in. Of course, I was seeing it through the eyes of a 19-year-old, but I also had the wherewithal and the presence of mind to understand the civilization I was in, the city I was in, the people, and the whole area, and so I understood what was going on. But it was only later when I became heavily involved in meeting people on the inside of the industry and meeting very important movie stars and producers and all kinds of, and being in their home and talking with them. And I've been in the company of some of the most important people Hollywood's ever even known. And I learned so much from all indications how this industry of Hollywood, motion pictures, entertainment came from and what it's actually doing. And today, it has really gone downhill. There were, back in 50s and 60s, especially in the very early 60s before Kennedy's assassination, there were some very legitimately brilliant and inspired entertainers. And Hollywood was offering some really interesting ideas and belief systems, and I had no problem with that. But I have watched it over the years. I have watched it, I guess the word would be to descend into the dark abyss of the world of the occult, so that today there's virtually, I see nothing of Hollywood being of any intrinsic human value whatsoever. Nothing. And to someone on the outside, they would see that all of Hollywood is pretty much, disgusting. But I would say, because I've been looking at it for almost 60 years, the one studio that I think is the worst of all of them, and my God, they're all bad, but the worst of the worst, in my humble opinion, and I've only been looking at it for 56 years, is the ABC Disney. ABC Disney is disgusting. In my humble opinion, it is a frightening presence in our midst because of what's really going on at ABC and Disney. Disney and ABC are one and the same. And I know people who are working at the top in ABC. I know animators. I know the people and the who are designing things for Disneyland, artists. I know professional people. I know business people inside ABC Disney. It is a really corrupt operation, period. And all the rest of them are equally as bad. But I think Disney. If there's going to be an award given for the most corrupt, Disney has got to be it. And of course, Walt Disney himself would be turning over in his grave if he saw what has happened to his beloved country, his beloved company. Walt himself was an incredible genius in doing wonderful stuff with cartoons and things for children. But boy, that company today is dirty.
They turned it into the slop in the trough.
Oh, it's really dirty slop.
Jordan,
real filthy.
We have a call on the line here. I believe if we have the connection with Alice. Let's see if she is connected. Alice, are you there? Can you hear myself, Jordan, or Jack?
Hello.
Hey there, Alice.
Hello.
Hi, Jordan and Ryan. Jordan, I am very honored to talk to you.
Thank you.
I truly appreciate all the work that you have done for, I don't know, 50 years. I am a member of your research society,
Oh, yes.
and for a few months now, I have realized that we are in a checkmate position. So I honestly can say that I'm not sure how much I can look forward to this existence. And I don't know what kind of solution to come up with, because everything seems to have some sort of retaliation from them, and I'm not in a very good I guess situation. I don't know how to describe it, mentally, psychologically,
Well,
emotionally.
I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So
not
I
either.
was, well, yeah.
Well,
I'm
the
trying.
whole world of mankind is not in a very good position right now, with families breaking up, humans, warring against each other, even within one household. I mean, even like the scripture says, a house divided against itself can't stand. Well, that's why we are all falling apart. Governments around the world is because we are fighting each other. We're bitter. We're corrupt. And so it's taking its toll on the whole entire human family. And so I don't know where we're going to go as a human race, but there's some serious
Yeah.
things coming on the horizon real soon, and I'm afraid and frightened by the implications. Um, I've seen things because I've studied this kind of stuff in motion pictures and television. I have seen things being done by the motion picture studios where they are preparing the people of the world, all over the world. Hollywood is preparing us for something very, very dark. And it's whatever it is that they've got planned, it's going to be horrible when it finally comes out into public view. It's a very, very evil place, and again, I have to say, because I feel it so strongly, Disney is one of the worst of the worst. And I've seen so much being done there at Disney that just is repulsive and repugnant to my nature as a human. So just
Yes.
keep that in
Yeah.
mind, that when you're watching television and ABC and NBC and CBS, keep in mind there's a reason why you had the three major television networks: ABC, NBC, CBS. Why three? Well, because you have Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Osiris, Isis, Horus, the Three Stooges, the Three Musketeers. There is a world of hidden wisdom in the number three. And this is why God is a three in one God, three persons in one God. There's a very dark world of hidden, intriguing but hidden wisdom and knowledge that is demonic. It's depravity that the whole human race has been sucked into. So just
Yes, I agree with that.
I
Yeah.
realize your frustration. I understand.
Yes, I have not had a TV since, I haven't watched TV since 2009, really. So,
That's good.
at least, yeah. So, um,
Hey, we
I don't know. It's, it's, I don't even know how to describe it. I feel that I have felt this coming on for a while, and since it started, I would say probably the second half of this March. I have
Well,
I have not
let me
fallen.
say something here, because we only have another moment or two.
Yes,
I would suggest that you turn inward. That's what all people with knowledge will do. Turn inward. Be peaceful within yourself, and talk with the Spirit. The church says talk with God. I say talk with the Spirit and be peaceful within yourself, and always be concerned about yourself and what you're listening to and what you're accepting. But
yes, I understand that, but that makes me question. And I'm sorry, Ryan, if we're going over
No,
on time on this.
In
but
fact, Alice,
that makes me question. Am I being selfish? Am I being egocentric? Am I not paying attention to
I
it?
know, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about concentrate on the goodness of life, because there's so much good that we have been given as humans. So concentrate on the goodness. I'm just warning people to know and understand that there are evil operations going on throughout the world. Organized crime. We call it Hollywood, but I'm just trying to educate people, because they don't know that they're thinking it's entertainment. It's not entertainment.
Hey, we're gonna
propaganda.
We're gonna pause just for one moment. We're gonna continue this in the after show. We have another live show coming up on L&M, Ira Robinson. So I want to let everybody know who is listening. You can go to thesecretteachings.info, subscribe to get access to that archive, which will give you access to not just every show you can download and stream, but you'll have access to the after show. We'll continue this conversation with Jordan Maxwell, our caller Alice, and my co-host and friend Jack on the line. Our website, again, thesecretteachings.info. Do the research, do the math, stop letting people tell you what to think, including me. Connect the dots between seemingly unconnected people, places, and events in the world that seem so complex will hopefully begin to make sense. More Secret Teachings live this Saturday and this Sunday. Our website has all of the information to listen, to jump into the chat room, to email me at rdgable@yahoo.com.
I have certain rules I live by. My first rule, I don't believe anything the government tells me.
I've been a researcher, analyst, and radio host for more than 6 years, constantly experiencing the transformation that comes about by refining oneself. Through my immersion in the world of symbolism, history, technology, comparative religion, health, and philosophy, and my interviews with doctors, authors, psychics, and more, I have compiled several books with a combined analysis of these subjects from an objective point of view. If you enjoy my radio show, The Secret Teachings, you will love these books, each one different but also weaving together hundreds of subjects exposing topics that few will talk about, from taking responsibility for your health or understanding the allegories in religious teachings or history, to the paranormal, massive child trafficking networks, and even the ancient traditions of magic and alchemy. These books will help you break the great evils and boundaries of ignorance, superstition, and fear by providing information for personal transformation. Titled The Grand Illusion, False Prophets, The Persistent Illusion, The Technological Elixir, and Food Philosophy, these books are available anywhere around the world, including Amazon and Barnes & Noble. To read reviews by researchers, journalists, and other authors, and to see videos directly through the publisher, visit NeelyProductionsInc.com, that's Neely, ProductionsInc.com, or visit my website at www.thesecretteachings.info. Welcome back to The Secret Teachings, our exclusive after show available to all subscribers of thesecretteachings.info. Continuing our conversation with Jordan Maxwell, my good friend and co-host Jack, and our caller Alice, jordanmaxwellshow.com. You can also find links to his research society, all of that on our website. Alice and Jordan, you were having a conversation. Jack, you feel free to jump in whenever as well, but if we want to... Alice, are you still there? Do you have any...
Yes, and I'm here. I was waiting for everybody else to jump in.
That's how it always is. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying that I don't really know what to say, honestly. I feel like we are checkmate. And yes, I understand what Jordan is saying. I have been trying, and I will continue to go within and, do my meditation. And I'm planning, Jordan, I teach college, okay? Don't hate me for it, please. I teach math. I teach calculus. So, I try to be as much away as, I'm sorry, I'm from Romania too, so if my English is weird, that's why. I am trying to keep my students free mentally as much as possible. And I think I am doing a very good job at it. I am loved by the students, hated by most teachers. Okay, so where I was going with this was that we have, a little, summer break coming up, and I am planning to fast, and I'm planning to get in touch with the source, whatever. This is not the first time experience for me, so I'm used to fasting, and I'm actually very excited about it. I can't wait.
Well, and I would say also, just keep in mind that the world of mankind, generally speaking, not everyone, but generally speaking, the whole world of mankind is not interested in truth. They're not interested in what is right and what is truth and what is provable. I think America leads the world. We have taken the award for leading the whole world and being able to look at something and then turn right away and walk away and have no knowledge of it. We look at the truth, turn around and walk away from it and disavow it. And so this is why we're in the trouble we're in today.
When we understand something, we have to take responsibility.
You can't handle the truth. And so that's America's problem. We can't handle truth. But I would say to you in particular that just remember that that's the whole bottom line of the story in the New Testament. The New Testament story of Jesus is basically boiled down to what you're talking about, the war between light and darkness, between intellectual, spiritual enlightenment and evil and darkness and lies. That's the bottom line on the whole story in the New Testament. Jesus represents the truth and the light, and he is opposed by a dark force that the scripture calls the devil or demons. And so that's exactly the life you are having to live, like the rest of us, because there's a light inside of you that knows truth and knows and wants the spirituality and truth. But we are opposed all around us by darkness and demonic stuff, from drug addiction to, all the frailties of the human mind, and it's all being orchestrated purposely by us. And that's why I have 2 new videos, and one of them is called Cosmocrat. The word is actually Cosmocratorus, but I shortened it on my video called Cosmocrats. And Cosmocrats, the word cosmos is world and crat is ruler, like Democrat and plutocrat. So crat is rulers and cosmo is the world. And so I'm talking on this new video about the Cosmocratorus, or the Cosmocrats, the world rulers, and who they are and how they're using the technology and the organizations and religion and banking, etc., how they are using it from behind the scenes to destroy your humanity, to destroy your life, and to ultimately destroy anything of any good and value on the earth.
And Jordan, where can listeners find those videos?
It's on my website. And also I have you can go on my other website that markets my videos. It's called JordanMaxwellVideos.com. But you can find it right on my Jordan Maxwell Show, right on the right-hand side. When you go on the home page, it will say, here's Jordan's 2 new videos, and it will take you to JordanMaxwellVideos.com.
Excellent.
And you can order the videos right there.
Will I find them on the Research Society website?
Say that again.
Will I find them on the Research Society website?
No, you find them right on the home page of Jordan Maxwell Show.
Okay.
Just go right to Jordan Maxwell Show, and there they are, right on the home page.
Excellent. JordanMaxwellShow.com. It's linked up on our website. Alice, you have a good evening, okay?
Nice
yes,
talking
thank
to
you
you,
very
Alice.
much.
Of course. Take care.
Thank you, and God bless you, whoever God is, Jordan.
Yes.
You have done a wonderful job for humanity,
Well,
whether they know it or not. So I truly, deeply appreciate it. You are very loved in my heart, and I wish I could say in many others, but I can't.
Well, I'll tell you, so, you're a sweetheart, and I thank you for it, and I thank you for your kindness. And I do what I do. Do what I do for people like you.
Thank you very much. I really, truly, deeply appreciate it. I really do. And I'm not just saying that. I'm telling you this from my soul. Well, so thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Right, thank you, Alice.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jordan Maxwell is our guest in this exclusive after show. I am still with Jack, my good friend and co-host. Jack, do you have anything else that you would like to add or ask Jordan in the final few minutes we have?
I would just maybe have Jordan comment on if he's familiar with what's known as the 8th and forgotten natural law, which is one word, and it's the word caring. Do you see a lack of caring in the world today?
I would say yes and no. There's a lot of people who care, just the idea of caring. There's a lot of people, most people care.
But what do they care about?
Yeah, well, that's the point. What do they care about? Unfortunately, too many people care about themselves. They don't care about their mates in marriage. They don't care about their children. And they for damn sure don't care about their education or their government, or the lies and deception of their government and their world. They only care about to make sure they have plenty of food in their belly and their beer and their entertainments and their ball game, and that's all they care about. And therefore, we in America, because we get the bad stuff first. The rest of the world's falling apart. It's only because we are helping them. But ultimately, this kind of caring for oneself and entertainment and drinking your beer and filling your belly, and don't really have a concern about the world you live in or the country you're in or where the human race is going. We're talking about the beginnings of the fall of the Roman Empire. Because once the empire became so powerful and dominated the world, it became ugly and murderous and filthy and degenerate, and eventually the people became like the government, and then the people became murderous and violent, and it became a very pornographic, violent, alcohol, drugs, whatever. You could see the fall of the Roman Empire coming for America. But the problem is, unlike the fall of the Roman Empire, we're going to take the whole damn world with us, because when we go under, it's going to be like the Titanic when it goes under. Anything near it is going to go under with it.
And just like that whistling in the graveyard, if you watch the movie Titanic, when they had the guys while the ship was sinking playing the violins, that's kind of what we're doing in entertainment and media. We're just playing the violin as the ship sinks.
No, you're right. That's exactly right. Everybody knows we're going under, so strike up the orchestra and play the music, and everybody will be happy, and We'll be happy all the way for another hour, and then God help us because we're going under.
Yep. But you don't have to deal with it until the hour's up.
Jordan,
yes.
With all the people that you've met, all the influential people that you've met throughout your life that you mentioned earlier, I guess knowing as much as I know about this stuff, I still question if this is an orchestrated effort, and if these people, I know Ryan, I think, kind of leans towards it's not necessarily connected. I don't want to speak for you, Ryan, but do you see that these people intentionally do these things, knowingly do them, and is there a global network that orchestrates all these things?
Oh, there is a global network that orchestrates. Of that, there is no doubt. Absolutely. But the people I have been in the company with, and as I said, I could name off some of the most important people that Hollywood's ever produced or that has ever been on the earth. Extraordinarily powerful people at the top, and I have been in their private company, and I know, and I've seen too much. That's why when I give you my opinion, I'm just giving you off the top of my head based on my experiences over the past 56 years. And I know that there is no doubt in my mind some sort of an overshadowing organizational in the world today, and it's well connected around the world behind the scenes, just as organized crime is well connected all around the world, from the French underworld connects to the British underworld, the European underworld to the American secret societies and organized crime, and then you take in the Russian mafia, the Mexican mafia, all over the world there are organized criminal syndicates, and they have to work with each other. It doesn't work if you want to kill each other, so they have to work with each other. So organized crime on the earth is a major problem, and the human race is not up to doing anything with it. We humans are not able to protect ourselves from organized crime, because today organized crime is actually government. Government is organized crime, and the big corporations. If you remember in the movie Godfather, the first one, Godfather original, when Michael, as a young man, is telling his girlfriend Kate, and Kate is concerned about all of these mobster guys that her boyfriend is involved with. And Michael tries to assure her. And in the movie, he says to her, Kate, and in 10 years, the family is going to be, or 5 years, whatever it was, we're going to be completely legit. This is who we are now, but give us another 5 years. We're going to be completely legitimate. And, well, that sounds better, that they're going to be legitimate. No, what he was saying is that the organized crime syndicates have got so much money from all of the drug dealing, alcohol and prostitution, and God knows what else they're into. They're making so much money that they are making large deposits on the stock market. They're buying up stock in General Electric and General Motors and Eli Lilly Glass Company and oil companies and the corporations, big companies. And so the mob is buying such enormous quantities of what am I trying to say? The investing
Stocks.
In these big corporations, so that eventually they don't have to be drive-by killings and shootings and all the old mob way of doing things. No, we call them General Motors today. We call them General Electric, and they're not driving by and killing anybody. No, they own the company. They're completely legit. But keep in mind, the people who are running these big corporations were the mob. But now they are respected businessmen. But they're equally as bad. So now when we see, like in Las Vegas, we talk about how Las Vegas at one time was controlled by the mob. But today, the mob is gone, like the movie Casino with Joe Pesci and De Niro. At the end of the movie, they say, "Well, you know, it was a it was one hell of a time when the mob ran Las Vegas, but that's over now. It's all gone, and now the corporations have moved in." And I'm saying, no, no, no. The corporations have moved in as the mob, and its new operation. They have made
They're
so
just
much
legit.
money. They are General Electric. They are a Ford Motor Company. And so they have moved in. Well, all they've done is mutated. They've evolved into something far bigger. Now it's just business.
And something that's semi-respectable, and that's what you find in corporations and government.
That's right.
Where the actions of congressmen, senators, lobbyists, corporate heads, the actions are geared towards shutting down any form of competition, whether it's the milk industry shutting down coconut milk or attempting to. You have biotechnology companies patenting seeds and then trying to shut down small farmers. It's the mafia. It's a business. The world is a business. You've said it before. We've said it before. Absolutely,
That's
Jordan.
Right. Yep. Unfortunately, most people don't know that, or if they suspect that, they don't say anything about it and don't do anything about it, and there's not much we can do about it. Here in America, we like to brag that we can elect our leaders, but we can't select our leaders. And we like to brag that we have computers that can think for themselves, to which I say, well, thank God, at least we got something that can think for itself, because we as humans don't think for ourselves, so at least God, we got a computer that can think freely for itself, because we can't. We've lost the ability to even understand who the hell we are and what we're doing, so we can't think for ourselves.
And in
Thank God we've got the mafia and the government to tell us what we can do and what we can think and how we can live, because there was a time in this country when the people were the government. And
if we don't recognize our power to be the government, to make a decision that can affect a business or a corporation, having the power to change and alter the course of events by taking responsibility for something and taking action, then just like with technology, if we don't conquer with morals and understanding and responsibility, say artificial intelligence, then it eventually conquers us. And I think that's what's happened in the business world, government, etc. It's conquered us instead of us having control over it.
You got that right. And all you need to do is go back and, back in 1938, there was a movie called The Island of Lost Souls. It was Charles Laughton, a really interesting and fascinating actor. Charles Laughton made a movie back in 1938 called The Island of Lost Souls. Then in 1965, Burt Lancaster remade the movie. He was in a remake called The Island of Dr. Moreau. And then the last and final movie that Marlon Brando made, and I had personal knowledge of Marlon Brando. I met him in some very incredible circumstances that I'm not about to talk about, but I met him and I know him. And so, but he made a movie. His last movie was the remake of The Island of Dr. Moreau. Well, this has been, since 1938 till the last movie Marlon Brando made. They've been continually remaking that movie, The Island of Dr. Moreau. And what is it about? It's about scientists, and a particular scientist, but it represents the scientific community. Dr. Moreau was a scientist. And he was crossbreeding animals with humans. And so he had humans, which were animals, but he could control them by electrical shock that would hurt them, and they were all frightened of this electrical shock that would hurt them. So all the animals, the humans, running around with faces like dogs and bodies like animals, but they were half human and half animal. There is a metaphor there. They're telling you something in a movie. And like I said, as far back as 1938, Nazi Germany really understood the concept of crossbreeding animals with humans. The U.S. was doing it for many years. The U.S. and England and Austria, all three of those countries, probably Germany also four, were doing that kind of crossbreeding animals with humans. And today, now it's in the open. Now the governments don't care. They're telling you that we're crossbreeding humans now with animals, and the idea is we're going to create a whole new kind of life on the earth. We're no longer going to be humans and with human families, mothers and grandmothers and children and the human family. No, from here on out, you're going to be animals. We're going to feed you sugar cubes, and you're going to do what you're told. You will be in compliance with the government, and there won't be any need for you to concern yourself with what you're doing or where you're going and your family, because you're not going to have a family.
Jordan,
and so I see this whole thing as one incredible God-dishonoring hell that's coming upon the face of the earth. And this whole idea of the new age of Aquarius, where so many people think that Aquarius is going to bring, and Aquarius is not going to be here for another couple of 100 years. But this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It's not here yet. The sun's not risen yet, but it's coming. So this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, meaning it's not here yet. It's probably not going to be here for another 150 years. But in the next 150 years, you can see where we've come in the past 100 years. Well, just wait and see where the technology and the mentally deranged fascist murderers who run this world are going to take the whole human race 150 years from today. It's going to be an absolute horror. Why? Because the human race is being completely converted to a new kind of lifestyle on the earth. Albert Einstein had a very interesting quote in relation to all of this. He said that the world today is very, very, today the world is very, what was his word? Very dangerous. He said the world today is very dangerous, not because bad people do bad things, but good people do nothing. And so leave it alone. All the good apples are going to be corroded when the bad apples just keep spreading their degeneration to the group until one day the whole bag of apples are just totally gone. And so the problem today is there's not enough good people doing anything to fight the bad. The bad are now organized crime.
And in that way, they support
criminal syndicates.
They support that crime. They support that deception. They support the evil.
Yep, you're right.
It's an uphill battle, that's for sure. Jordan, from your contact with some of these actors and or actresses from Hollywood, do most of those leading actors and actresses, when they take a part in a movie, do they understand the script? Do they know what the theme of the movie really truly is? And would you say that might be the same in the music industry, where, for example, certain lyrics in certain songs are very enlightening? Do you think that's by coincidence, or do you think those lyrics are given to the musical artists?
Well, music is a little different than the motion pictures, but my sense of the motion picture industry is that if you're going to be successful, and you're going to be a celebrity, and you're going to be successful, then you will already understand that you are a product. And as a product, you do what you're told. It's the same thing in the mafia, in the underworld, in the organized crime world. If you're going to be one of the big shots running the organization, you understand it doesn't matter what you think about what you're doing. You just do it. Because if you don't do it, somebody's going to whack you. Somebody's going to kill you and your family. So nobody's asking you if you like what you do or if you agree with what you do. You just do what you've got to do,
And
because that's who you are and that's the life you live.
Most
period.
people will do that even if it's not under threat of killing their family, but it's the same type of threat. If you don't do it, you don't get a paycheck. You can't buy food.
And then, of course, if you've been involved yourself at that level, you knew at the time you were the big shot movie star, you knew that all the porn and all the child sacrifice and all kinds of incredible criminality that Hollywood's into, and that you are a big shot in that industry, so you know you're safe. Nobody's going to bother you. You can do whatever you want to do, rape anything you want to do, rape any kid or rape anybody you want, and do whatever you want to do, and do your drugs and all kinds of criminality, but you can do it with impunity. Why? Because you know nobody's going to bother you. The bosses of all bosses, he's doing it too, and so we're protected. We're in the club. We're in the gang, and anything happens inside the gang, nobody's going to say anything. Nobody's going to rat on anybody because they're going to be dead if they do. So you're okay. You're all right. And then one day you find out, no, you're not all right, because they now have photographs of you. They now have films of you. And now they have pressure. Now they can blackmail you, and that you will do what they want you to do. And they give you a script, and it's really a dirty one, and you don't want to do it. They didn't ask you if you wanted to do it. They gave it to you, and you will do it. Why? Because we will put out the pictures of you doing what you were doing last Wednesday night. We'll put those pictures out there, and you're through forever. Your wife and your family, your career, and everything else is over and done. All you got left now is suicide. So we tell the world what you've done, and we got pictures of it. So that way you will do whatever the studio says you will do. Period. End of sentence. Nobody's asking you. And so if you want to be important in the industry and make lots of money and be important, then you better just keep your mouth shut and do what you're told to do. And hopefully that when somebody is coming to kill somebody, they'll kill your friend and not you.
Jordan,
I know what that's like in Hollywood. I've been there. I know. So it's just, but again, I will say, because I feel so strongly about it, I said it on the first hour, ABC Disney is probably one of the dirtiest operations in Hollywood, period. I mean, I know stuff about Disney that'll turn your hair white. And there's, and I also am telling you that this whole idea of child sacrifice, as ludicrous as it sounds, has been going on for years. And I'm not surprised it's going on right now today. And I'm not talking about raping and sodomizing. I'm talking about actually taking the life of a child, actually killing them. And so I know that this is something that is actual and real and really happens, and Hollywood is heavily involved in that kind of stuff. It's really one hell of a story what our culture has become in America. And it's frightening because we are leading the whole world, and like the scripture says, the whole world is being led by the demonic. And that's why we are in the kind of shape we're in today, because Hollywood and the international banking finances Hollywood. And, it's just an incredible story. And that's why I realize I want to give back to the world of mankind what I have been given. And I have been given the opportunity to be in the company of incredibly important people knowledgeable about all kinds of things, and I want to help my fellow man by waking them up and looking at the reality of the world we live in and where it is going.
And I think that
that's it.
I think that most of us, myself, I know for sure, Jack, we all have the same basic ideology that we want to help other people, and acting selflessly is a form of selfishness, but acting selflessly to help others and others acting selflessly to help you creates a much better world to live in. I would love, Jordan, the next time that you come on, we can maybe discuss the corruption and the horrific acts and conduct of those in Hollywood. Of course, Hollywood only being one part of an even larger network globally.
Yes, right.
The last thing I wanted to ask you, though, in this after show is, it's a personal question, and I'm just curious. Being someone who has done this for 50-plus years, and I've done this for coming on a decade now, how does someone like you go through a day? I doubt that you get up and you go to Denny's and then you watch the morning news or something. How do you go through a day, Jordan?
Well, I because my mind has been occupied 24/7 with this kind of research and knowledge and experiences, I tend to sleep a lot because of depression, and so I don't even get up till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and because at night, after midnight, I'm up till like 5 or 6 in the morning. I can't sleep, and I'm sick because of it. And at 67 years old, I don't sleep well. I use sleeping pills. I have been very sick for a long time, and I'm not getting any better. And it's very difficult for me to have any joy in life at all. So today, I see myself in my life as an old man that's sick and not going to be here much longer, and I have to accept that. And I remember, the life, the vitality and the life I had when I was young and doing the things I was doing. I was fascinated with wisdom and knowledge and all the interesting people I was meeting and all the great stuff I was learning, and trying to do radio and television and traveling around the world giving lectures on all these dark subjects. But today, I now have to realize I'm at 76 years old. I'm very sick. I find it very difficult to sleep. So my main objective now is to do the most I can to put out into the public venue as much information as I can. And to help people, because my gut feeling is I'm not going to be here much longer, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. But I'm going to leave a world of knowledge that most people will never even knew existed, and that's one of the things that bothers me right now is the fact that there's so much I have been given and understand because of my experiences, but I cannot tell you because it will endanger your life, and it will for damn sure endanger my life. But I could tell you some things about going on in Hollywood and things I have seen with my own eyes and been in the company of. And don't ask me how in the world were you in the company of this or that. I just happened to be. It was just somebody put me there. And I happened to end up in the wrong place at the right time to see things happening that it just amazes me how much the world of mankind does not know how this world really works. What? I mean, when I see politics and governors talking and Jerry Brown, the governor of California, and I think, boy, I know who he really is, not who you think he is. I know.
That's probably the most amazing part, Jordan, is that baffles me, is how they can keep this illusion under control and nobody, very few people even realize what's going on. That, to me, is just mind-boggling how they can keep all of this under the carpet and no one ever suspects anything.
I know. You're right. I couldn't have said it better. You're right. I'm just amazed how people don't even begin to suspect how really highly organized. And the reason why is because it's been working and mutating and evolving, this whole dirty underworld, filthy system of power and greed and sex and drugs and rock and roll. All of this stuff has been evolving over hundreds of years. It's getting worse and worse and worse. But most people don't see it because, it's like the frog in the hot water. You just throw the frog in the water. It does. He's at home, and then you turn up the flame, and he doesn't mind because he doesn't realize it's going to get hot soon. Well, that's where we are now. It's finally really hot. The world that we live in is finally starting to wake up to how far gone we really are as human race.
If you had,
and the people who run our planet for us are demonic.
If you had
totally demonic.
One piece of advice for all of the listeners, what would it be?
I would say the biggest single problem is a two-pronged problem. One is education. You need to open your mind and understand that nothing in this world works the way you think it does. I mean nothing. Even your marriage, even your relationship to your children, nothing is what you think it is. So you need to, I say it all the time, your mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open. So you need to open your mind and understand that the President of the United States is not the President of the United States of America, the Republic that was founded in 1776. 1776 Republic of the United States of America died in 1861. It's gone. There is no United States of America. Period. Zero. It don't exist. In its place has become a corporation called the United States Incorporated. The United States Inc. is a company. It's a privately owned corporation, just like Sears and like Standard Oil and Exxon. Is a company, a privately owned company. So don't think of this United States as America. This is America, the land of the free and home of the brave. No, that died in 1871. And so we had a civil war back a long time ago in the 1860s, in which millions of men from the north and south in our country were killing each other. So after the Civil War was over, whatever it is that we were when the war was over, united was not one of them. So we weren't the United States. There's nothing united. We just killed half of each other. Half of the country killed the other half. So we're not united. So forget the United States.
And what's the second prong, Jordan? The first prong is education, and what's the second prong?
The second problem is being able to, how should I say this? First one's education, intellectual, oh, I had it in my mind.
Like processing that information?
Well, intellectually, there's a word, and I use it all the time in my lectures, and I can't think of it. I'm getting old. I can't think anymore. But to be intellectually open to see the truth for what it is. And there's a word for it, intellectual. So I guess I would boil it down to this. Education, that's the big problem. Open your mind and read and study and understand how the world works, and also be able to intellectually look at the facts and understand the facts, and don't walk off and drink your beer and forget all about it. So intellectually, to be able to look at the truth and accept it and realize it, because my God, this is a big problem in America. 9/11 pointed that up to me. I knew we had the problem before 9/11, but after 9/11, it was frightening. That's why, if you follow my career, I was doing a lot from 1989 to 99. I was everywhere talking, and then after 2001 with 9/11, I just dropped off the face of the earth. I just dropped out and wasn't doing much of anything. Why? Because I was so absolutely horrified by finding out the intellectual acumen of the people of America could see what happened in 9/11 and never even realize how bad it really was and what the real truth was. And that's what frightened me. It scared me, because I could see the whole country. There's a lot of people who saw through the bullshit, but basically speaking, the whole country of America saw what happened in 9/11, and they bought the story. Whatever the government says happened, well, that's what happened. So that's it. They bought the story. And I thought, you mean to tell me my country is so goddamn incredibly stupid and ignorant and frightened and backwards that you would buy something which on the surface is an overwhelming in-your-face lie? We're told that a big 757 with hundreds of people crashed into the Pentagon, but there's no plane there. There was
no parts, no debris,
plane, you know,
no seats,
and then
no
in
luggage.
Philadelphia, there was another.
Shanksville.
In Shanksville, where 757 crashed into the ground. But yet, when you see the pictures of it, it looks like it looks like an open fire pit, like they have in Hawaii.
I thought it was. I was talking about this earlier on the show in the first hour. How when you look at the bathtub structure that was built under the World Trade Center complex to keep the water from the river flooding into Manhattan, that those two buildings apparently, supposedly collapsed on it, didn't damage it, but then during the cleanup, some dump trucks were driving over it and cracked it. As if it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, most of the material was turned into powder. It was turned into dust.
That's right.
This was much more advanced than just jet fuel.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I remember many years ago when the first space shuttle was coming on the scene, there was an article put out by the U.S. government on it. And there was an article about this new project. It's called the Space Shuttle. And they said, and I pick up on all of these things for some reason, and then I know why many years later. But the article said that on the first space shuttle, they're taking with them and placing it out there in space a laser, industrial laser, which is able to melt a high-rise. And they said it that way. This industrial laser works directly off the sun and atomic power with it, and it's so powerful, the article said, that it can melt a high-rise. And so, I just don't ever, I always remembered that. Then when I saw the high-rises come down, and I know for sure, no plane hit the World Trade Center. Well, how come it just burned to the ground in dust? Well, maybe because we've got a laser out there that is high technology and can melt the high-rise. Well, that's what they said. It can melt the high-rise.
That's right.
So, Dr. Judy Woods, with her research on the 9/11 stuff, is just phenomenally important.
It's incredible.
It really
evidence.
is. It really is.
Well, Jordan, let me pause you there, and I'd like to continue the conversation on the next show that you're on. This has been incredible. Maybe we can talk about Hollywood. We can talk about 9/11 when things really took a turn for the worse. Jordan Maxwell, our guest. Jordan, thank you so much. Jack, our co-host. Jack, thank you so much for joining us in this after show.
Wow.
Jordan,
thank you too, Ryan, because it's very encouraging to me at my old age. Very encouraging to me to see a young man like yourself who's not only aware and alert, but actually doing something instead of complaining and ranting and raving and go have a beer and forget about it. You're actually, as a young man, doing something, and that is not only admirable, but it's great to know that there are some young people in America who do have a good mind and are actually seeing what's going on and doing something about it. And that's why I'd be delighted to come on your show anytime. So it's up to you. You call me, and I'll be there.
All right. Sounds good, Jordan. I really appreciate the kind words. It is difficult for me, 26 years old, trying to find anybody that's even remotely close to my age who's even interested in having a conversation about these things.
Well, just remember that even in the Bible, Jesus said, if they had listened to me, they would have listened to you.
Mm-hmm.
What they have done to me, they will do to you. So here we have the story of the man who's going around saving lives and enlightening people and helping them. And what happens to him? He ends up on a cross, spit on, and dies on a cross. So that's why we have the old saying that you have to carry your own cross. So just understand that's what happens when you step out of the crowd to do something important. Nobody's going to want to have anything to do with you. And one other thing I would say about that is that, and I said to you, I think said this the last time, if you as a normal, intellectually normal person go on a vacation to another city, and in that city is a big mental hospital, insane asylum we used to call them, and you go there to visit that mental hospital, everybody in there is an inmate because they've lost their mind. They're mentally
ill or disabled.
Yeah. And so you roam around that institution for a few hours. Everybody there is not going to like you at all because you're not like them. You don't look like them. You don't talk like them. They like each other. They hate each other. They argue with each other, but they're used to each other. But nobody's used to you. And so you don't even talk like them. You don't look like them. Well, that's your problem today as a young 26-year-old. You're not like the mindless dribble around you. And that's why nobody's going to like you because, you don't run with them and their stupidity. And that sets you apart. But that's the problem you face when you're a Nikola Tesla or an Albert Einstein or anybody else on the cutting edge. The world does not want to see you succeed. They're not interested in truth. So just keep that in mind. You're on a very incredibly important mission in this world as a young man to wake up and help your fellow man to wake up. And again, let's do a show another time. Anytime you're ready, I'll be here.
All right. I appreciate it, Jordan, so much. Thank you. Again, thank you, Jack. We'll talk to you both soon. Stay safe.
Jordan, I just want to let you know you are definitely well loved, and don't ever doubt that.
From all of us.
Thousands and thousands of people that follow your work and respect you and love you. So just
I
know
appreciate
that,
it.
okay? All right.
And thank you for it.
You're welcome.
And good night. Bye-bye.
All right. Much love. Bye-bye, Jordan.
Bye-bye.
All right. That is the Secret Teachings After Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and subscribing to the broadcast.